voice piece, man. Before I get anything started, make sure you guys pound the like button, pound the subscribe button. Also, pound the like and subscribe buttons to my homeboys, Millaboy Gaming and Heemz Gaming. They do gaming, they do live stream. You might need to catch up and kick some ass alongside them. Okay, let's get into it. Chris Hemsworth is definitely down for it as Guardians of the Galaxy movie. Now, I'm sorry, for an Asgardians of the Galaxy movie. There you go. Now, if you guys don't recall, there was some time ago where Chris Hemsworth, the guy that portrays Thor, was starting to feel really he was really starting to get bored and tired of playing Thor. Because if you guys don't remember, Thor in his very early days was very Shakespearean in a very way. So it wasn't until Thor Ragnarok, which was directed by Taika Waititi, where things started to really open up and become very more comedic and really fun and more just off the wall and more creative. And that's where I think Hemsworth really shined the most, if you ask me. So really, when the Russo brothers were then put in charge of the comedic but tragic arc of Thor for the Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame, they took him to some surprising places, mind you. He lost his godlike physique, which gave him, which I dub him the Lebowski Thor. But I thought that was pretty cool. So and he came to an understanding that, he was trying to be someone he wasn't. I'm glad that they humanized Thor in some kind of way. Either they told him more so than Odin did, if you ask me. So this revelation saw that Thor hop aboard the Minotaur to join the Guardians of the Galaxy at the very end of Avengers Endgame. Fans have been hoping this means Hemsworth will appear in Galaxy Volume 3, and I do too, honestly. It would only make more sense, given the fact that James Gunn is actually the executive producer of Avengers Endgame as well. And so, and it turns out, Hemsworth, he's all for it, man. He's definitely all for it. During an interview with Cinema Blend, he was asked about his future as Thor, which he doesn't know entirely. So he mentioned that he is willing to play him again if there's a unique approach that can be found. So when the interviewer suggested Asgardians of the Galaxy, which Thor mentioned by name at the end of Avengers Endgame, as a logical and unique next approach, Hemsworth agreed, saying, and I quote, "I'll work with any of those guys. Asgardians of the Galaxy, that's actually great. You might have just got me my next job. Thank you, man." End quote. So I like how Hemsworth really just rolls with the punches, man. I can actually see why Marvel, separated him and Chris Evans apart. I can definitely see that now. So it seems to fans that Thor being part of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 is a far-going conclusion, but there has yet to be confirmation that this is the case. Now, sorry about that. Based on this tease, though, it is difficult to imagine the Guardians of the Galaxy as Guardians of the Galaxy not being featured in some capacity in the next James Gunn directed MCU movie. So the Russo brothers weren't required to have this ending to adhere to the MCU's long-term plans for the Guardians, but since Gunn is an executive producer on Avengers Endgame, he was likely well aware that this was the case when he started writing the script for the third installment of their franchise. Now, the bigger question for fans, the Guardians, and Thor is whether or not this will become the standard roster moving forward. I think it should. I mean, it would only make sense. Thor relinquished his reign over New Asgard to Valkyrie, so he no longer has that burden, and he could be a full-time member of the Guardians team from now on. However, with Waititi reportedly previously pitching his plans for Thor 4, Hemsworth could be part of that story too. Now, whether the Asgardians of the Galaxy live on in the MCU's future or just a part of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, Hemsworth's time with the character doesn't appear to be over. Now, if you guys don't know, Spider-Man Far From Home comes out, the day got pushed up to July 2nd, 2019. I look forward to it. I'm definitely going to be in theaters watching it and things I need to give my review. My usual stuff. I might do kind of the same thing I did with Avengers Endgame. I don't know. I might do something a little bit different or something along those lines. Let me know what you guys think in the comments section below about this video. And what do you guys think about Thor being, with the Guardians of the Galaxy? Let me know in the comment section below. There I was well. Will be. This is me, Will Share Speaks. I love you guys. Peace and love.